Today on the Riff, Jeremy sits down with ER Gammill to walk through his journey to North Point. We hope today is helpful and hopeful. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to another episode of The Riff, and I got to tell you, I barely slept last night. I'm that excited for today's guest. He's your friend, he's my friend, he's our friend, ER Gammill.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
How did you sleep last night?
I got woke up about 4:30 this morning because for the first time ever, there was a bat in our living room.
Okay, we just discovered the topic we're going to talk about today because I'm more interested than that than like a bat. Are you talking about like a Louisville slugger?
Like a vampire bat, like flies around.
Okay, I'm not sure. There's a bat and then there's a vampire bat.
Maybe a fruit bat.
Okay,
maybe a fruit bat.
Maybe vampire. So how did you discover that? 4:30 in the morning. How did you discover?
I heard the noise. It became very loud.
How did you know it wasn't like a dove? Is there a?
Well, we have a lot of bats at the Dream Center, so not the first bat I've seen. Not the first one I've caught.
Really?
Because we catch them at the Dream Center.
Okay. Do you ever bring them home? Is that maybe what happened?
October, Halloween, we try to bring as many home as we can.
So what'd you do at 4:30 in the morning? So did you send Sheila out to go fix this, or what'd you do?
I did. I said, hey, there's a bat out there, and I went back to sleep.
That's good.
I hope it's gone.
How do you catch a bat? Is it like a pillowcase? That's what I've like heard.
I used a towel. So you just put a towel over it, take it back outside and let it go.
Okay. Now I get at that spot, but it seems like you have to capture it first. Did you capture it?
I did. I throw a towel over it.
So it was just on the couch?
I just waited about 30 minutes for it to get tired of flying.
Okay.
And then it goes to the wall, and then you just scoop it up and take it outside.
Is there a bat company in Springfield Metro?
If there was, I probably could not have afforded it at 4:30 in the morning.
That's
would have
true.
been out of my price range.
Do you feel like, I feel like if you can eradicate a bat problem in a half an hour, I feel like maybe there's a need in this area and you can start charging those kind of rates.
Are you familiar with rabies treatment?
That's a whole wide loop I want to tell, but but I have watched a Little House on the Prairie episode, and one of the characters got rabies and looked terrible.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't want to.
No rabies for me.
Well, I'm glad you survived that. That sounds harrowing.
It was exciting.
Yeah, but you still look fresh. Looks like you got a good 8 hours. So, and I also noticed, I don't know if you're joining us through the pleasure of your ears or your eyes today, but if you're joining us on YouTube, you'll notice there's a Riff mug. Where'd you get that Riff mug? Because I'm saying that I know, but a lot of our viewers are saying, how do they get a Riff mug?
These are super rare.
Yeah.
You have to win a prize. I won this on the birthday wheel.
Yeah, our staff birthday wheel.
Spin a birthday wheel, and that was my prize that day.
How lucky is that? Yeah.
Priceless.
And I noticed that one's autographed. But I also know it came autographed. Does that mean you've never washed that mug?
The inside, I poured hot water in the inside, boiling water.
Okay.
But never the outside.
Yeah, because I always get nervous about the lips on the outside, but that's, especially if you got like rats flying around.
Well,
so not rats, bats. That's similar.
Bats.
Which is ironic because today you and I were talking before this episode about my favorite superhero character, and it's Catwoman from Batman. I didn't even know this was a theme for the day.
Yeah.
So that's great. Okay, so let's talk about the life and times of ER Gammill. Let's start with how long you've been connected to North Point and how did that happen? Well, no. That's my second question. First is, let's go ER. Were you born at a hospital?
I was born at a hospital.
Like in the emergency room?
No, my parents were very poor.
So I was wondering about the name.
Yeah, my parents were poor. They could only afford 2 letters. If you look at the keyboard, E and R right next to each other on the keyboard.
Oh.
So that's
good.
what we could afford.
Is it short for anything?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So you grew up where?
I grew up in this area, left right after high school for the military.
Where did you graduate?
Hillcrest.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so Coast Guard?
Air Force.
Okay.
Kind of the military. We're the military 2 weeks every year.
Okay.
We go out and play military. But Air Force, spent about 10 years between active duty IMA status and as a federal employee.
Okay.
got to see the world, got my education paid for, all the great stuff that comes with that.
Any favorite spots that you saw?
I love the Philippines. Beautiful over there.
All right. Very cool. Never been there. So then you came back. Did you go to school or in this area then?
I came back to Norman, Oklahoma is where I landed. Small college there.
Boomer.
Yeah, may have heard of their football team, or right now they're popular for Storm Chasers.
Did you go there at the same time Brian Bosworth went there?
I did.
Okay.
Barry Switzer, Brian Bosworth. Yeah.
Very clean program.
Very good. Met my favorite wife there.
Okay. And now, I don't want to get too personal, but how many have you had?
Just one.
Okay. I was going to say, well, that ranks pretty high.
It is. September 11th, 34 years.
Wow, it's a great day.
So
never forget.
Never forget.
Okay.
So we've been together a while, and that was the best part of there. School's okay there, but meeting Sheila was the best part.
Okay, very cool. So Sheila, you guys, did you say 34 years?
34 years, September 11th.
Okay. So then do you stay in Oklahoma? Where do you go from there?
We ended up from Oklahoma after we got married.
You're out of the Air Force at this point.
Out of the Air Force.
You're what we call a civilian in the biz.
In law enforcement, so not a civilian, or what we call a civilian. Did some.
I think that might be a law enforcement thing that you don't consider yourself to be a civilian.
It is.
Okay.
So we.
What were you doing in law enforcement? Were you a gumshoe?
A criminal investigator.
That is a gumshoe. Is it not?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
So ended up in Louisiana.
Okay.
When we got down there, we had talked before we were married. We both knew our dream was to be missionaries somewhere. We wanted to go somewhere cool and be missionaries.
Okay.
That led us to a church that was well known for sending out people with both North American Mission Board and the International Mission Board.
Okay.
So we found that church, ended up at that church.
In Louisiana?
In Louisiana.
All right. And you're working in law enforcement at the time?
Transitioning out.
Okay. Into witness protection?
Witness protection.
All right. Where they gave you the initials ER?
Yes.
Okay.
Name change. And from that point, we became active in that church. Sheila went on staff.
Okay.
And student ministries or youth ministries at the time, and moved around within that structure of that church. I started a little after her in pastoral care.
Okay.
And we had about 8 good years there in different positions.
How many total years? Was it 8?
8.
Okay. I was like 8 good years followed by 8 lousy years there.
No, 8 great years there.
8 great years. Okay. So you went from, and one, let me just kind of a little context is you work here at North Point, and kind of tell us a little bit about what is it that keeps you busy here at North Point? What are the things that you're overseeing?
On our organizational chart, it's called logistics and team development. So what that actually means is on that logistics side, it covers a wide area. So if you ever look around and say, I know who does that, that's not me. If you look around and say, I'm not sure who does that, that's probably me.
Okay.
So everything from central purchasing, central baptisms, central facilities. We've got 5 facilities that need taken care of. And we've got a great team. I don't do all that by myself. A great team of volunteers, staff, and contract partners that we use in those areas. And they do a tremendous job, better than I could ever do. And then on what we call the development side, that involves our new staff, taking them through our 90-day onboarding or startup programs, as well as providing monthly opportunities for continuing education and development for all of our staff. So
it's a lot of behind the scenes, week-to-week stuff. At the same time, though, because we're a multi-site, kind of a complex organization, there's a lot of projects. And one of the smaller projects that you were neck deep in was the Nixa build. And so that was a big part of your life for that stretch of, well, even since then, but specifically the build.
It was. It just was a great experience, a great building, great team. The Nixa staff was great going through that. But that was a busy year. Yeah. Because we still had 4 other campuses going on that we had to make sure were weekend ready, as well as everything that goes with building a building.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so that's a little context of what you do. And so as we continue to get towards how you got here, work in Louisiana, is that when you went to Texas?
We did. We went to Texas. There were some transitions where we were at in Louisiana. So we went to Houston, Texas, which was like the top 3 cities for the denomination we were in. It's the big time if you get to go to Nashville, Houston, or Dallas.
Okay.
So we were excited to end up in the Houston area. Got kind of recruited by a church there. Had done education and administration, so I ended up at a church as an executive pastor. A well-known large church. Had a great time. Probably one of the best seasons of our life as far as friends and people and things that church was able to do. So I was having a great time on the ministry side, but my responsibility also included the administrative side, and started seeing some red flags in the financial areas. Those red flags led to an audit we conducted, a forensic audit, along with an investigation. And we found a couple of decades of things that weren't only unethical, but were criminal.
Oh, wow.
Went through that process to try to help correct those things. Sometimes those things, people don't want to correct those things. They want to keep going the way they were.
How was that for job security?
It was not. You kind of get those key leaders of the church together, and rather, if I'm a one, so everything's black or white. It's either right or wrong.
Yeah.
But you get them together, and they feel, oh, well, we need to pick sides. And for me, there was no side to pick. We need to fix this before someone goes to prison.
Right.
Things were not fixable, so we decided to step back at that time and leave ministry altogether. For me, a very, very rough time, kind of heartbroken that the support wasn't there to fix these things. Sadly, that church that had been just this large, great church was closed down in 6 months.
Wow.
So for me, I think that time after that, I grew closer to God. My faith foundation became stronger, but my going to church was done. I was never going to go to church again.
You just lost faith in the organization, the leadership,
the structure, the people. It's just like not going to go to church anymore.
Yeah.
We moved here. My wife is with a global nonprofit, so we came here. She would get up every Sunday and go to church somewhere. And she was trying to find a fit that I would attend. So every couple of weeks, I would get up and go with her. And then on the way home, say, yeah, I am never going back there. That is not a church I would go to. And she knew my 2 big rules were I never want to hear somebody tell me who to vote for, and which is very popular in churches. And I never want to hear who I'm supposed to hate that week. Another popular theme in a lot of churches is what group you're not supposed to associate with or like that week, who you're against, and who to vote for. And those were the 2 rules I had. And we're in a very area equally divided between both sides. So you can't go to church around here without hearing that. In the transition, right before you got here, a friend of hers invited her to North Point that she worked with. She came a couple weeks, and then the 3rd week she came was your first week here.
Okay.
She listened to you a couple of times and said, hey, you come with me. I think you want to hear this guy. And I had every excuse not to come hear you. But we came to Norton Road and listened to you a couple Sundays, and then I was like, I am not driving all the way up there. And she said, that is great. Let's go see this guy that I've been to at Sunshine. So we ended up with Troy Hartman at the Sunshine campus. Love the Sunshine campus. Unfortunately, it had closed. I think it closed twice. But the second time it closed, we went back to Norton Road for a little bit. But then Nixa had a Saturday night service kickoff. And we went there, and we've been at Nixa ever since.
Wow.
Jason, if you remember Jason, just was awesome.
Yeah, Jason Thomas from Northwest.
Yeah, Thomas.
That's great. That's great. So, at what point did you start feeling like, okay, you've worked at every level of church organization and outside of church organization? It's a big deal to get to the spot where you're open to going to church again. At what point were you even open to saying, hey, this is what I think I'm wanting to work in, or willing to work in, maybe not wanting to?
I had government time, so I went back to work for the government for about 10 years and was going to leave and retire from there. During that time, there would be times Sheila would say to me, you really, you're serving people now, but you really need to get back in a staff position at a church. And I would say no. Just honestly, what happened one night, you and I had kind of connected over, we both buy and sell stuff.
Yes.
And like buying and sell stuff. So that's how we had connected, really not church stuff, but
little eBay.
Flipping, eBay, little flipping. And we went to dinner one night. 4 hours, a 4-hour dinner. Yeah. They had closed and finally had us leave. Yes. And about 30 minutes after they closed, they made it clear they'd been closed for 30 minutes. We needed to leave. But
our social awareness was fairly low.
It was low. And you said, hey, when are you going back on staff? And I just laughed at you. I was like, never. Maybe one day we'll do the missionary thing again, but never. And on the way home, she was like, I'm going to keep asking you the same thing. When are you going to go back on staff? Probably 8 months later, I was on staff.
Yeah. And have you been, has it been over 4 years now on the team?
Right at 4 years. Came on right after COVID, right when we came back from COVID.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's great. So, so you've seen, especially in your role, you get to work with all of our campuses. You work very closely with the Dream Center. So you have one of the unique roles in the organization where you're seeing almost all of it. You got the people side, you got the system side. Do you have a favorite aspect of North Point? Of all the things, and we won't be offended at all, but what's your favorite thing about North Point?
Not a secret, the Dream Center.
Yeah.
Not a secret.
Yeah. Why is that?
I like our ability to give back to people without appearing to be a church.
Yeah.
Where people, sometimes people think, well, that's what a church is supposed to do. They're not genuine in it. We are very genuine in what we do at the Dream Center. I tell people I work at the Dream Center more than I do at North Point because that kind of breaks the ice with them, and then you can lead them into a church discussion. But man, the program's there. Jody is wonderful. The program's there. So that's actually when I started, that's where my office was at the Dream Center.
Okay.
Only a couple people over there. And slowly as they have grown, I moved from office to office to office until there was no space left over there for me.
You keep getting kicked out of people's workplaces.
I do. Yes. Yes.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite staff member?
My favorite lead pastor would be Jeremy Johnson.
It can't be me. It can't be me. So outside of your favorite staff member.
I do.
I love to ask all of our staff or our guests on this.
I do, but I was told to quit saying it out loud. The executive pastor said, you cannot tell people anymore.
It wasn't Justin?
That was your favorite person.
Oh, Justin's your favorite?
So just to clarify, Justin's not here. I just want to make sure he's okay, though.
Okay. He's all right.
He's okay. Nothing's happened. He's safe.
At the time of recording, yes.
Okay.
The time of release, I don't know. And if that's awkward for you all because of whatever's happened, that's not awkward for me because
people are going to ask, where was Justin?
Yeah.
That's what I hear anytime he's not here. Where was Justin?
Yeah, no, he's fine.
So yeah.
Do you have a least favorite staff member? Is that easier to talk about?
Not easier to talk about, but but right now I don't. Yeah. I have, but right now no. Right now all's good.
So tell me a little bit about growing up. What was faith like growing up? Did you grow up in a faith family?
I grew up a lot of time with my grandmother and grandparents. Grandmother was very faithful. She went through about a 10-year period with cancer.
Okay.
Where anytime she would go to the doctor or into the hospital, they were clear this was her last time. 6 months to live for about 10 years is what they would continue to tell her. Her faith, she grew up where her brothers were pastors. Her dad was a pastor. She, of course, had not been going to church because she'd been sick, but she explored her faith, and she decided that she would explore every religion. And so she had books on everything there was out there, and the copies of the Quran or Buddhist materials, just the Hebrew Bible. And she believed everything, regardless of where you're reading, led back to one God, led back to Jesus, and led back to faith.
Okay.
So that instilled in me, because we'd have a lot of conversations as she went through that your faith had to be in one God.
Yeah.
And in Jesus.
Yeah.
So very strong foundation there from her.
Yeah. Would you say there was over a season of life where you're like, I'm done with faith. I'm just doing my own thing?
I've had a couple times where I wasn't done with faith, but I was done with what I would call organized religion or denominational religion, where it's just like, man, this needs to be more personal between me and God rather than following a bunch of rules. I didn't like the legalism or the rules.
Yeah. So how would you say, like, now your faith is, what are some of the things that you feel like are true about your faith now that are different than in the past? Where have you landed maybe now that maybe surprised you that you landed there? If it would surprise a 20-year-old ER.
Justin and I talked about this a few weeks ago over coffee. I think I'm in a place now where I believe more literal aspects of the Bible than I used to. You know, I know there are tons of parables, whether it's Jesus or the prophets, but and I used to think it was all a bunch of great stories that led to God. But I think as this season of my life, there are many things that I believe I have no reason to doubt. I don't have to doubt. Was that a story? Was that a parable? No, I believe those are true. So I become stronger in what I question or what I don't question anymore. I used to question more.
Yeah.
And now I don't. I just take it as faith because it believe it or not, it's true.
Yeah. Well, what's something that you want everyone who works with you or comes across you? Have you thought about what's the one thing I want them to remember me by? Like what's your signature that you would hope as the impact?
That my purpose, I want them to be successful.
Yeah.
And I want everything I do to help them become successful. I stay in the background and provide them what they need.
Yeah.
And that's what I want them to remember, that if I was just a little bit part of that, providing them what they needed so they could have success in life.
Now, you've said that to me several times over the years, the stay in the background. You've used those words of, hey, I want to be in the background. I don't want to be the person up front. Yet at the same time, you have strong leadership. So talk to us a little bit, because some people who are listening, they might not ever work in a church, and they could have a job, and it might be in a spot where they might not be an upfront leader. How have you found strength without trying to clamor towards the platform?
I've had the times or seasons where I have been up front. You know, I was at a church where, you had to bring the message at least once a month as we rotated through staff. So I've done the speaking. I like it. I don't hate it. It's I enjoy it, but that's not my passion. My passion is that helping other people succeed. There's a saying that don't worry about your own happiness. If you'll focus on making someone else happy, you get the after effects.
Yeah.
You get to bask in their things. So that's always been what I've looked at. I'd rather help other people be successful, and I can do that in the background. While at the same time, if that leadership is needed, I'd rather lead by example. I'd rather exceed the standards and have people. I'm a GT on the working genius.
Yeah.
So it's very
Which
natural
is
for me to galvanize.
galvanizing and tenacity.
Yeah. So that galvanizing is very easy for me. I can rile up a crowd, get people excited about anything you tell me to get them excited.
You can
about.
lead a group of people with pitchforks. That's what
I
I'm
absolutely
hearing.
can.
Yeah,
absolutely
dude.
can.
So we got to funnel that in the right direction.
For good or evil.
Yeah.
I can do either one. For good or evil, I can lead them.
I also view you as fairly intense, right? I mean, in the sense of you're very people centric. At the same time, when it comes to work, you're not laid back. You're very passionate about what we do. Why? Where do you find that passion? Why is it so important to you? Details in an organization like ours.
I think those details are important because they do make a difference of whether someone is coming back. Super easy to get someone to try your church. You can do promotions or just conferences to get people to try. But you have to have those details. You have to be doing, whether it's our connections greeters or what kind of coffee we serve or what our walk-in music is. Those things, that first 2 minutes determines whether somebody's going to try you again.
Yeah.
So those things, and of course, I'm passionate with April and Kids Ministry. That is what keeps people coming back. So I think that's why I'm intense. I'm probably more laid back than you think I am.
Yeah.
Especially on a non-church day.
Yeah.
But I know it's those little details that people look for and keep them coming back. And I'm just passionate about giving the people the opportunity. That's all we can do. We don't save anybody. We are that example for them to say, man, something great's happening there, or something's great happening in your life. What's different about you or your life?
Yeah.
So that's that passion and intensity.
One of the purposes of even having the Riff as we launched this, I wanted to be able to use this time to talk about some people that might not be known by everybody, but that help create a experience that is felt by everybody. And you're one of those people. On this team, multi-site, and I don't need everyone to understand the church world, because I don't think it's all that unique in the church world compared to a lot of other roles. But what's unique in the church world compared to other churches with a multi-site is there's so much complexity, and there's systems and structures. And the way I'm wired is ideas, right? Let's go for it. Here's the experience. I can tell if it's not there. I can tell if it's there. So I'm kind of a vibe-ometer. But what I don't bring to the table are in the details, in the weeds, to be able to help create that predictable experience. Justin is the yin to my yang in a lot of this organizationally. And you do a lot of that systematically, working alongside of Justin, but with the campuses. And what I love about having you on the team, here's what I think of you. I probably told you, but I'm telling them, and maybe I haven't told you. But what I love is, in order for us to accomplish what we all dream of accomplishing, is creating a safe environment for people to find and follow Jesus, we have to have a predictable experience. Not that it's all a machine, but we need to be able to do all the controllables the right way so that we can let God do the thing we can't control in His way. And we can't do that as an organization without people with your skill set that are passionate about the things that I'm not passionate about, but we share the passion for the product. And I really appreciate that. And I think you do a great job of that. And so if you don't know ER, those of you who do know ER, none of this surprises you. If you don't know ER, you just need to understand he, along with some others on the team, and they're the backbone of what makes us have a safe place that we can introduce our friends. And so I appreciate doing that. How as you look at North Point, let's kind of land a plane with a couple thoughts here. What do you hope happens at North Point in the next 5 years or so? Something that's not currently existing. What's in your mind? What's in your dream?
I think my top three. I think we have one of the best kids ministries. I think we have excellent worship. One of the best messages when you from you, and everybody knows I feel that you're one of the top 5 I listen to, and I listen to a lot. And there's some good guys out there, but you most weeks you're in the top 2 or 3.
Are there a couple that jump out to you that keep me out of being able to say the top 3? Can you tell me? I think this would be fun. This is the Riff. Is there a least favorite message? And I'm fine. I'll sleep with it. Is there a least favorite message that's not hard for you to remember?
No, not least favorite. I know coming out of COVID, every series I tell Sheila, man, I think that was the best. And then the next series comes, it's like, man, I think that's the best he's ever been. Now, Max Lucada is, I understand, going to do some online preaching at a church in Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
So
Gateway.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
I'm a big fan of Max Lucado. Like a big fan. Like his communication when I was really, I was a high school student when I started just reading everything I can, because the way he communicated the stories of grace were so powerful. And there's a North Point couple who they're from San Antonio, and they have connections to his church and whatnot. And I mean, so I always am asking whenever they're visiting, their family's visiting, I'm like, how's Max Lucado? Can you please tell Max Lucado that you like me better than him? And I've never met Max, but he represents for me my formative years, one of the best communicators ever.
He probably listens to the Riff.
Here's the deal. He would be embarrassed if I said this. He does listen to the Riff.
I do know.
I'm just kidding. I don't think he does.
I would not be surprised. I know when we're out in public.
I'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
When we're in public, Justin makes sure I introduce him as co-host of the Riff.
Yeah.
And he makes sure I work into the conversation that this is the most downloaded podcast from the North Point website.
Yeah, no, and honestly, that's true. Now I'm nervous because young adults occasionally has a podcast, and if they start that up again, we might become top 3 to 5, as you mentioned me. We'd probably our podcast would be there. But
back to your question,
I do want to say that you're my top 3 to 5 staff too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you three things you know, and if I can name locations, you're fine with that because you know.
Yeah, well, we're just spitballing. It doesn't cost a penny to dream.
Republic.
What about Republic?
We need a building.
Okay.
Got a building. To help alleviate some of the tension off our other campuses on size, we need Southeast Springfield.
People love setup teardown. It's a great bonding opportunity, but some of the product doesn't thrive well when it's stored outside in the Missouri winters. So it wouldn't hurt the mission.
It would not hurt.
If we were permanent location. Okay, so Republic.
Southeast Springfield.
I like that.
Bolivar. Doesn't have to be.
You're just going to drop those?
So that's what my dream the next 5 years is.
Okay, so you're going new campuses, one extension of a current campus, Southeast. Let's time date this episode right here. Let's bring this out in 5 years and see how we go. Now, here's the deal. There's not anything in me that opposes that. And so my last deal would be like, okay, you're the one to make it happen. Okay, ER, get busy. Let's do this.
Pray. We just pray, and God will put that opportunity when it's in front of us. Somebody will call us and say, you want a building?
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you have a building and you don't want to pay taxes on it anymore because it's sitting empty or your business is not thriving, man, call me.
Yeah.
Call me. Especially if you're Southeast
Lord, heal your business or kill your business. Is that what I heard you just say?
Tax deduction if you donate it. Donate it. We're going to help you.
We can help figure out a way to funnel it for some kingdom purposes. ER, I love who you are. I love you. I love Sheila. And I love the fact that you're using your gifts in a way to move the mission forward. And I think it's a great example for all of us to say, okay, hey, what are we wired to do? You don't need to fit in a certain box to have a significant impact in kingdom. You don't need to work at a nonprofit to have a significant impact in kingdom. You just need to use what you have in the direction God's moving you. And it's a big deal. So thanks for being on the team. Thanks for being a proud supporter of the Riff Nation. And, I'm looking forward to seeing how good these hopeful predictions are. And we'll do a callback if that's the case. So
Great.
If not, we're going to edit that last 5 minutes completely. Yes. So you might want to save that at home because that thing is going to be lost if we don't ever see it because we want to win.
The lost episode.
The lost episode. Thanks, ER.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.